This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week. This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
Federal investigators diving into the world of Sean Diddy Combs with another federal grand jury in place in New York City. This time they're taking a look at the other sexual allegations against him of violence, of abuse. They're taking a look at people who've already made civil claims, and they're notifying folks who've been on camera in the home of Diddy. Camera shots we have not seen yet. We're not talking about the hotel footage that we saw with Cassie. We're talking about all of that information that, or all of those videos that were stored in his home that they got their hands on during the raid. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI Special Agent. Jennifer, what do you think has caused this second federal grand jury to be impaneled, and what else are they finding and looking at that they felt they needed to do this?
Well, they are looking at charges. When I say charges, they're looking at expansive charges based on what they acquired in their warrants. I mean, I've always said he's in such big trouble because, at least according to what witnesses have said, he videotaped everything. And, you know, that is the best evidence there is. It's typically irrefutable. And they're going to be putting all of that before the grand jury. I see them looking at possible RICO charges. And what RICO does is essentially it's going to go back. It allows an investigation to go back years whenever that enterprise began committing federal or committing offenses, violent offenses, sexual, offenses that involved trafficking, anything like that can be looped into a RICO, and it could allow them to go clear back up into the J-Lo days with the, attempted murder. Remember, the witness that was shot says, or the victim that was shot says that Diddy Combs shot her.
Yeah.
So this is something that could go back that far. I'll be very interested to see, but I think that's what their angle is going to be.
Does this mean like relitigating all the way back to there, but does this mean like a lot of different trials that Diddy could be facing for many different charges? Or are these sort of things going to be all wrapped up into kind of one big ball of wrong?
It's one big ball of wrong. It definitely would be an indictment that would involve multiple charges. Now, remember, he has not been charged at all. All there was an affidavit in support of the search warrants that were issued. But now we're talking potential true bills. And those true bills would be, just imagine a laundry list of crimes that he could be charged with, at least if you look at the allegations, all wrapped up into one gigantic package for these jurors to consider. And if he's indicted, then you're going to look at an arrest. And then, of course, we start the trial phases.
Are we looking at an arrest here soon with something like this? And that was a big question a couple of months ago when they did the raid on his home. Obviously, no arrest was made at that time. Now you have a new grand jury and you have more people going in to testify against Diddy. Is this going to speed that process up a bit, do you think? Or is this going to they're going to take their time on this too, because they got their eyes on him?
They're going to take their time. As I always say, the longer the grand jury, the more severe the charges and the more the charges there are going to be. Grand juries are impaneled to examine all of these, details and facts. And I can only imagine, based on what we saw in terms of items removed, how long they were there, the information about the amount of video information that's going to be there. It's going to be huge, and the grand jury needs to see it all.
With many of these accusations that have come against him through civil suits, the statute of limitations for criminal prosecution has since passed. If we go down the RICO statute area of this, does that make any of that prosecutable again, or does that does it make it more active again into the case? Can you explain that at all?
Yeah, it sure does. It does, and I'll tell you why, because The RICO ends when the racketeering enterprise ends. So let's make the assumption that we would hope that after his homes were raided, that anything he was involved with, if we're to believe, again, he's just accused right now, or he's not even accused. He's just, there's information that he may be involved in these things. It would stop, in other words, the statute of limitations. Now you go with the last crime that was committed, and then you piggyback all the way back. So that brings in everything. So the statute now would end at his last deed that was done by the criminal enterprise.
And then everything is fair game again, basically.
Pretty much, as long as it falls under the particular crimes that are considered RICO offenses, which are typically, violent crimes. There's a laundry list, but basically what he's been accused of would be part of that laundry list.
Which is part of how they got R. Kelly as well, correct?
Yes, it's the same thing. And I just was looking and saw 4 different rappers that are caught up in RICO. And that's why you do RICOs. They're beautiful because all the crimes that people got away with for years and years and years, well, now they can't get away with them because you group it into this huge enterprise. Remember, RICO really started to get mafia members. That was kind of the whole reason that RICO was introduced and passed and legislated. And now, obviously, it's capable of being used on anything. We used it in our drug trafficking cases often as well. Because anytime you have a group that's conspiring and racketeering in an enterprise setting to commit all these crimes, RICO is a prime tool to be used to prosecute.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.